At this very moment, somewhere in the Persian Gulf, a $13 billion American aircraft carrier is sailing through one of the most dangerous waterways on Earth. Hidden along Iran's coastline, buried in caves and camouflaged bunkers, sit missiles built for one single purpose: destroying ships exactly like this one. That carrier is longer than 3 football fields, carries a crew of over 5,000 sailors, and launches more than 70 aircraft capable of striking targets hundreds of miles away. It represents one of the single greatest concentrations of military power ever built by human hands. And yet, for years, Iranian commanders have made one claim over and over again, on state television, in military parades, and through leaked intelligence reports. They say they can sink it. The real question isn't whether Iran wants to. It's whether they actually could. To understand why this threat is taken so seriously, you first need to understand the water this all happens in. The Strait of Hormuz looks almost insignificant on a map, a narrow ribbon squeezed between Iran and Oman. But every single day, roughly a fifth of the world's oil supply passes through this one corridor. Tankers moving nose to tail through a channel so tight that at its narrowest point it measures barely 21 miles across. What most people don't know is that the actual shipping lanes used by massive tankers are even narrower than that, sometimes only a few miles wide in either direction. Whoever controls this coastline effectively controls a switch capable of sending shockwaves through the global economy. And Iran controls almost the entire northern edge of it. This is not an accident of geography that Tehran has ignored. For decades, Iran has built its entire naval doctrine around this one advantage. Rather than trying to match American naval power ship for ship, a fight it could never win, Iran chose a completely different path, one built on speed, deception, and overwhelming numbers rather than size and firepower. Here's where things get interesting. Instead of building large, expensive warships that could be destroyed in a single strike, Iran invested in swarms of small, fast attack boats, some capable of speeds over 50 miles per hour, cheap enough to build by the hundreds, and difficult to track individually on radar. Alongside these sit an extensive arsenal of anti-ship missiles, underwater mines that can be scattered secretly across shipping lanes, and coastal radar and missile batteries hidden inside caves along the rugged shoreline. This is what military analysts call asymmetric warfare, a strategy that doesn't try to win a conventional battle. It tries to make the cost of showing up so painful that an adversary thinks twice before doing it at all. But that's only half the story. Because Iran doesn't need a wall of firepower if it can win the battle of information first. Iran has spent years developing an intelligence network specifically focused on tracking American naval movements. Using coastal radar, drones, and even fishing vessels as informal spotters. Every time a carrier strike group passes through the Gulf, Iranian forces are watching, timing patterns, mapping routines. In warfare, knowing exactly where your enemy will be tomorrow is sometimes more valuable than any missile in your arsenal. So what exactly is standing between Iran and one of these ships? A modern American supercarrier, whether it's a Nimitz class or the newer Ford class, almost never travels alone. It sits at the center of what naval strategists call concentric rings of protection. The outer ring is airborne, fighter jets and radar aircraft patrolling hundreds of miles out, built to detect a threat long before it gets close. The middle ring belongs to Aegis-equipped cruisers and destroyers, ships capable of tracking dozens of targets at once and shooting down incoming missiles with interceptors of their own. The inner ring is the last line of defense, close-in weapon systems, essentially radar-guided cannons capable of firing thousands of rounds per minute to shred an incoming missile in its final seconds of flight. And beneath the waves, submarines quietly patrol, hunting for anything that doesn't belong. This is precisely why analysts argue Iran was never actually planning for a single knockout blow. Their real strategy is saturation. Iran has stockpiled anti-ship ballistic missiles like the Khalij Fars and the Fateh family. Weapons purpose-built to hit moving naval targets, some with ranges exceeding 300 miles. Alongside these sit cruise missiles designed to skim just above the waves, staying below radar detection until the very last moment. The theory isn't that a single missile sinks a carrier. The theory is that if enough threats arrive from enough directions at the exact same time, even the most sophisticated missile defense system on Earth could eventually be overwhelmed by sheer volume. History gives us the clearest answer to how dangerous this region can actually become. During what's now remembered as the Tanker War in the 1980s, both Iran and Iraq targeted commercial shipping throughout the Gulf, dragging the United States into direct involvement to protect oil tankers under American escort. In 1988, the American frigate USS Samuel B. Roberts struck an Iranian naval mine and was nearly torn in half, forcing its crew into a desperate, hours-long fight just to keep the ship afloat. Days later, the United States responded with Operation Praying Mantis, one of the largest surface naval battles fought by the American Navy since the Second World War, sinking several Iranian vessels in a single devastating day. That single operation proved two things that still shape military planning today. It proved Iran's mines and small boats could genuinely hurt American forces. And it proved that when provoked directly, the United States Navy could respond with overwhelming, decisive force within days, not weeks. Neither side has forgotten that lesson. More recent history adds another layer to this story. In 2019, tensions spiked dramatically after several oil tankers were damaged in mysterious limpet mine attacks near the strait. Attacks American intelligence agencies attributed directly to Iran, though Tehran denied any involvement. Shortly after, Iran shot down an American surveillance drone, claiming it had violated Iranian airspace. For a few tense days, the entire world held its breath, waiting to see if this was the spark that would ignite something much larger. It wasn't. But it revealed exactly how quickly a single incident in these waters can spiral from a local dispute into an international crisis involving one of the most powerful militaries on the planet. So here's where things become even more dangerous. If a full-scale conflict actually broke out today, what would realistically happen? Most military analysts agree on one central point: Iran sinking a fully operational American aircraft carrier in open combat remains an extremely difficult, almost improbable outcome, given the sheer density of defensive systems layered around it. But almost improbable is not the same thing as impossible, and war has a long history of unfolding nothing like either side actually planned. A far more realistic scenario, according to many naval strategists, isn't a single dramatic sinking. It's a brutal campaign of attrition. Iran could attempt to damage or disable escort ships, scatter mines across shipping lanes, and force the carrier group to operate farther from shore, weakening the reach of its aircraft and straining its logistics chain. Even a partial success, striking a single escort vessel or forcing a tactical retreat, could be framed as a symbolic victory powerful enough to shake global confidence and rattle financial markets far beyond the Gulf itself. And this is where the consequences stop being purely military and start becoming global. Remember that fifth of the world's oil supply moving through these waters every single day. A serious, prolonged conflict here wouldn't just be a regional crisis. It would send shockwaves through global energy markets almost instantly, driving up fuel prices, spiking shipping insurance rates, and forcing nations thousands of miles away to recalculate their entire energy strategy overnight. Airlines, shipping companies, and manufacturers dependent on stable oil prices would feel the impact within days, not months. In many ways, a war fought in this narrow channel of water would never actually stay contained to two militaries. It would ripple outward into nearly every economy on the planet. There's also a deeper political reality that often gets lost in the noise of missile counts and ship comparisons. A direct attack that damaged or sank a major American warship would almost certainly demand a massive and immediate military response, one likely to drag in allied nations and reshape alliances across the entire Middle East for years to come. Iran's leadership understands this consequence just as clearly as American commanders do, and that mutual understanding, more than any single weapon system on either side, may be exactly why full-scale war has not yet erupted despite more than 4 decades of tension. Both sides seem to recognize that the true value of this standoff has never been in fighting it. It's in the power of the threat itself. So, can Iran really sink a United States aircraft carrier? The honest answer is that no one truly knows until the moment it's actually tested, and that uncertainty is precisely the point. Modern deterrence was never designed to guarantee victory. It was designed to make the cost of war so unpredictable, so potentially catastrophic, that no one dares find out for certain. In these narrow, contested waters, the most powerful weapon may not be a missile, a mine, or a warship at all. It might simply be the fear of what could happen next. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe for more military analysis and geopolitical documentaries every week. Which topic should we cover next? Let us know in the comments.